And it's round one of the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs getting underway at one of NASCAR's crown jewel events, the Cookout Southern 500 at Darlington Raceway. Whether you're in the playoffs or not, every single driver on the grid would love to win this prestigious race. It's not the official throwback weekend like we're used to. The spring race in Darlington is now considered the official throwback weekend because NASCAR wanted all the focus to be on the playoffs and not have throwback weekend serve as a distraction. But several teams have voluntarily decided to run throwback paint schemes anyway. Do you think the throwback weekend and playoffs overshadowed the Southern 500's crown jewel status?
I gotta say, no, I don't believe it's overshadowing the crown jewel status of Darlington. If anything, it makes it where every driver is going out there trying to win this crown jewel event. If you're in the playoffs, you're not at a stage where you're trying to do more points racing, pit in early before a stage end to try to position yourself for the race win and avoiding those stage points. You are out of the playoffs. This is the best opportunity to go out there, prove, hey, spoiler alert, I could get the job done. I'm out of the playoffs this year, but next year, don't count me out. So that's the beautiful part, I think, of the way this is all lined up. Southern 500 is kicking off the postseason. Everyone's going out there to win, continue that legacy of drivers trying to go out there, win the Southern 500. It is one of NASCAR's biggest crown jewel events, and I think this is a perfect spot for it in the Cup Series schedule.
I completely agree with you, Joey. NASCAR always has had the Southern 500 on Labor Day, except I believe for a couple years ago, I think. But overall, this is, it's the end of summer, and what a way to kick off NASCAR! What a way to kick off the playoffs in NASCAR, to have a race that everybody wants to win. You think of some of the top races in NASCAR that drivers always want to win. Think about the Daytona 500. You think about racing in Talladega, Bristol, and everybody wants to win at Darlington. It's nicknamed Too Tough to Tame, the Lady in Black. It's going to take a toll on all the drivers tomorrow night. But if you can find a way to cross a checkered flag and win at Darlington, it's pretty cool to have in your records.
And something else that you're probably going to notice tomorrow night, you're looking in turn two, it has been completely repaved since the last time we've been to Darlington because the track was experiencing some weepers, and instead of putting a patch down where the issue was, NASCAR decided that it was best to repave Darlington in turn two. So it's going to be really interesting watching the drivers go around the other three turns, where it's really, really bumpy. The track has a lot of character, and then a really smooth turn two where the track doesn't have a lot of character. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see the drivers transition from most of the track, which is still going to be a bumpy, worn out surface of Darlington, and then a smooth ride through turn two. And out of the 16 drivers in the playoffs, only 5 have won here. Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin tied at the top with 3 apiece. Martin Truex Jr. has 2. Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, 1 win each. Which one of those drivers has the best shot at winning the Southern 500?
Oh, that's easy. I'm gonna have to say Kevin Harvick, because he hasn't won this year. You don't think it's a Southern 500. He's won there. You don't think he's chomping at the bit to find a way to get into victory lane? Stewart-Haas Racing only has 1 win this year. 1. And that was Eric Almirola at Loudon. I believe tomorrow night, Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin are going to go all out to try to claim that elusive checkered flag at the Cookout Southern 500.
When it comes to the playoffs and those drivers in particular, I'm looking at Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin, Toyota overall, they've been fast all year. Indianapolis Motor Speedway at the road course, he could have had that race won, but then it was Kevin Harvick's teammate, Chase Briscoe, that sort of spun his chances away of winning out the window. Denny Hamlin, he has won here. The Toyotas are going to be fast here. I see him more likely to get the win. Kevin Harvick, he has won here before. He knows how to get the job done. I just don't feel that Stewart Haas Racing Performance team is at the level they need to be, especially when you have Kyle Larson, who is in second place. Anybody's going to win there is going to have to beat the Joe Gibbs Toyotas and the Rick Hendrick Chevrolets.
Out of all of those drivers, I'm actually gonna go the opposite of both of you and say I think this is the perfect opportunity for Martin Truex Jr. to get back on track and get that mojo going again early on in the season. Martin Truex Jr. and that team had a whole bunch of good chemistry and they were looking really good, but lately it seems like they've just kind of been a step off. And Martin Truex Jr. has won at this track twice. He knows how to get the job done. Joe Gibbs Racing typically brings really good cars to Darlington, and I think that this will be a good opportunity for Martin Truex Jr. to make a statement, win the very first race of the playoffs, and build momentum heading into the round of 12. But a driver who hasn't won at Darlington is Kyle Larson, who won the regular season championship. Larson finished second here earlier this year in the spring race. Right now, he's the second seed in the play. However, the driver who's currently second in the playoffs right now, Ryan Blaney, going for 3 wins in a row after winning at Michigan, Daytona, and looking to make a trifecta at Darlington Raceway tomorrow night. Is Ryan Blaney getting hot at the right time to be a genuine championship contender?
He is. He is showing that confidence, I feel. He got good equipment with Penske Racing. And I feel Penske and him, yes, they did win a race at Daytona. Anybody could just about win that race in Daytona as long as they stay on the lead lap and stay out of trouble. But he also won at Michigan, too. That is a track where the handling of the car, everything has to work together. Darlington, you have to race the racetrack. Not exactly one of Blaney's strong suits, but if he could put out there a really good finish in that top five especially, stay second, he could assure himself advancing into the next round easily because this is going to be one of the tricky rounds, I think, for him. But if he has a good race, and I think he will, he's going to set himself out for a good championship run.
I completely have to agree with you, Joe. Ryan Blaney, I believe will be a very strong contender for this championship. Even though he's losing his teammate Brad Keselowski at the end of the year to go to Roush Fenway Racing, Ryan Blaney is a real likable driver, and he's got so much momentum after 2 straight runs at Michigan and Daytona. Kyle Larson is a good championship favorite, but don't count out Ryan Blaney. He may be the wild card in all this to find a way to steal the championship away from Kyle Larson at Hendrick Motorsports.
Yes, I definitely think Ryan Blaney's team could potentially be peaking at the right time here. He's carrying the most momentum out of any driver entering the playoffs, and at the post race press conference last week, he was saying I'm glad you mentioned Brad Keselowski's departure, Adam, because Ryan Blaney told the media that as soon as he knew Brad was leaving, he realized that he needed to step up, that he wanted to cement himself as that team leader at Team Penske. Since Joey Logano's been there the longest and he's the oldest, a lot of people assume that Joey Logano would be the team leader moving forward. But it seems like Ryan Blaney wants to assume the role that Brad Keselowski's had in that organization. And I see a charisma and a fire in Ryan Blaney this season that I haven't seen so far yet in his NASCAR Cup Series career. And I really think he's in the right mindset. And the other competitors, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, who have really shown themselves really well in this championship fight so far. I think Ryan Blaney could potentially play spoiler, and maybe he'll steal the championship from those drivers who we expect to contend for the championship. And the bottom 4 in the playoffs right now, entering the very first race, Michael McDowell, the Daytona 500 champion, Eric Almirola, Tyler Reddick, and Kevin Harvick. But they'll be able to move up pretty easily. Alex Bowman is going to be starting at 6th place. He's only 10 points above the cutoff line. So a stage win for Kevin Harvick, who hasn't had the dominant season that we typically see from him. And if Alex Bowman were not to score any stage points, that would have a dramatic effect after just one stage. Only Kyle Larson has a comfortable path to the second round of the playoffs, the round of 12, assuming he doesn't have any major issues in round 1. Which 4 drivers, in your opinion, will not advance from the round of 16?
For me, that's easy. I'm taking a look at the screen. I'm going to have to say Christopher Bell, Michael McDowell, Eric Almirola, and Tyler Reddick. Those, I believe Kevin Harvick in this round will find a way to win. We all know Kurt Busch is going to be heading to 2311 Racing next year as Bubba Wallace's teammate, so he'll be looking to score another win this year. But for me, it's Christopher Bell, Michael McDowell, Eric Almirola, and Tyler Reddick.
Mine is a little bit more different. I see Tyler Reddick going to point his way towards up there to advance. Same with Kevin Harvick. Almirola, McDowell, I agree with you. I think they're going to be in trouble. And Christopher Bell, I feel he's either really hot one weekend, really not with it the other weekend. I don't see him advancing. I think he's going to be a sort of a surprise for some people, but to have one Joe Gibbs Racing team out of the playoffs after the first round, I think that's going to be Christopher Bell. The fourth driver that I see that's not going to advance, and I think it's going to be a surprise for some, but not for me, would be Brad Keselowski, that Penske team. They are really inconsistent. Yes, he's won at Darlington. If he gets a win at Darlington, of course he advances. But if he doesn't get that win, I just think with the other drivers and the remaining tracks we have in this first round, I think Brad Keselowski could be a surprise elimination in this round of the playoffs.
Wow, that would be really surprising to me if Brad Keselowski were to be eliminated in the round of 16, because I know Brad really wants to go as deep into the playoffs as he can, especially with this being his final season with Team Penske. He's really built a great relationship with many across the organization, and Brad will definitely want to go out on top. And for me, the four drivers that I think is going to go out in the round of 16, Michael McDowell, obviously front row motorsports, no disrespect to the organization, but we all know compared to the other playoff contenders, they just don't have the type of equipment to go out there and be as competitive as the others, unless we're going to see Roush Fenway step up, kind of like they did when Chris Buescher made the playoffs in that 34 after that crazy win in the fog at Pocono, and give him a Roush prepared car with better equipment for the playoffs. I don't know if they're going to do that, but if they were, that would certainly make Michael McDowell a lot more competitive. But if not, I think he's certainly going to be one of the first four out. And also Eric Almirola, I remember he had a disastrous start to the 2021 season, got that win at New Hampshire when they called the race early due to darkness. I just haven't seen enough from Eric Almirola to really think he's going to be a legitimate contender and go deep into the playoffs. And Christopher Bell, Joe, I think you hit the nail right on the coffin there. 1 week he's hot, the other week he's not. I think the inconsistency with Bell's performances is going to be the reason why he's going to have an early playoff exit. And then I know this may shock some people, maybe not. Fourth driver who's not going to make it. I don't think Kevin Harvick's going to do it. Stewart-Haas Racing hasn't been on that same level this year, and if he has one bad race and can't put together two other decent races and get solid points finishes, I don't see Kevin Harvick advancing. I cannot believe I am saying that after such a dominant 2021 season.
Don't be an anonymous investor. Join the stock market social media platform public.com. Invest any amount of money and share with friends and new friends. Discover new opportunities such as new companies and potential business partners, and useful tools for beginners, and share your experience with friends on public.com. Link in the video description gets you $5 for being a Grid Network viewer. Use the referral code GRIDnet for your free $5 to invest and start investing and networking on public.com.